5 elements to every scene. Now, the first thing you need to know is there's no right or wrong way to do this. We know what works because we studied the greatest stories ever told that kept people's attention, and we study the common threads and we apply those to future stories. Introduction, try to see each scene as a mini story, and we're going to dig into that. Number 1, every scene is going to have conflict. If you don't have conflict, the scene's going to be dead. So what do we mean by conflict? Something is getting in the way of your characters are reaching their goals. Now, there's various forms of conflict, and we're going to dig into those. There's interpersonal, which is the conflict between your character and another character. There's intrapersonal, which is conflict with self. In the Star Wars series, Anakin Skywalker, right before he turns into Darth Vader, he's always staring out across the city and he's having conflict with himself. Conflict could be environment. One of your characters can't even open the door and they get really frustrated. And then the 4th category of conflict could be the weather. Think about some very intense scenes of your favorite movies. It's raining outside. At the end of Back to the Future Part 2, when the FedEx guy delivers the package to Marty, it's raining outside. In The Notebook, when Allie asks Noah, "Why didn't you write me?" It's raining. In Pride and Prejudice, when Mr. Darcy confronts Elizabeth and tells her he loves her for the first time, it's raining. Screenwriters do that on purpose. It's to intensify the scene. Number 3, there has to be an emotional change among your characters in each scene. Happy to sad, angry to laughing, depressed to being okay. It doesn't matter what the change is, but there has to be a change in some sort of emotion. Number 4, character development. Are the characters getting better or worse? If they're not going through some sort of change, it's not going to be a good story. In Smallville, Lex Luthor progressively gets worse. In Good Will Hunting, all the characters get progressively better. And number 5, at the end of your scene, it needs to hurl us into the next scene to keep the audience's attention, whether they're reading it in a book or they're watching it on screen. For the sake of this video, I wrote up a quick scene. And in this scene, you're going to see all 5 elements that I was talking about. You ready? This takes place inside a restaurant at a bar. Boy meets girl, and he looks interested in her. She comes on to him, but he ignores her. She gets frustrated in response, but he seems like he doesn't care. We know that he's been looking for a woman to date his entire life, but now he's content in being single. We know she's been single her entire life and she's looking for someone to date. In her frustration, she slaps him across the face and storms out the restaurant. That hurls us into the next scene. We cut to outside the restaurant as her coming out and storming down the street, still frustrated. And we see him come outside walking the other direction and he's smiling to himself. He's laughing. Her slapping him across the face and storming outside into the next scene hurled us into the next scene, and it kept our attention. You just replicate that over and over and over and over, making sure everything you have in there contributes to the journey of the characters. And in the end, you'll have a story worth consuming.